What you are about to watch is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute any type of advice. Always question the validity of what you see and what you hear. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello, Tyrant. Today in Tyranny 200, we're going to cover a topic that we touched a bit on when we started Tyranny 140. No patriotism, but rather the root of why it exists, which is why gangs, teams, church congregations, and even cliques exist. Today, we will talk about why people form cliques. We will touch on the concepts behind the reason why people form cliques. The first one is survival. We all know that sooner than later, the lone wolf dies. The second one is concentrated power, which we covered briefly on our last class where we covered the 48 laws of power. The third one is opportunity. This process is the target and focus of any group from criminal gangs to corporations. The fourth one is dominion. This is a very misunderstood piece of the process that only leaders understand and is repeated in every clique from sport competitions to military. But before we jump deep into the topic, let me share with you again about our new advanced course, Freedom 320. This course covers enlightening topics such as loneliness and the need for human contact as an economical system, spiritual resolution and functional facilitation as an opportunity for change, behaviorism versus psychology versus spiritual counseling. We'll be answering questions such as exploring if the mind really exists, and much more. We have provided in this channel lots of eye-opening information, and we can tell you that Freedom 320 will not disappoint. Also, our sponsor and now allies from Awaken ABA are helping revolutionize consciousness and awakening in Oregon and the rest of the world. Until now, the shamanic herbal awakening process was only available in very few countries like Mexico, Guatemala, and some remote parts of Europe. Oregon has opened that opportunity for the residents, and as of 2025 for the rest of the United States. Awaken ABA is now working with people from outside of Oregon to help train the leaders in this movement. People who go through this process are having powerful intellectual and spiritual awakenings. It sounds strange because there are really no words to explain it. Visit their website and check out what they're doing. Now back to our learning for today. We mentioned how the notion of cliques is very important, and it is because people have a need for belonging. See, Abraham Maslow figured out the needs and wants of humans through his pyramid. At the very bottom of the pyramid, we find psychological needs such as people having food, a place to sleep and rest, appropriate clothing, and in some cases reproduction. We also find the need for safety such as personal security, economic means and resources, and well-being. This is why the primary reason people join cliques is survival. When people enter either high school, police academy, prison, a deployment in the military, and even sales teams, people figure out that there is a psychological and safety need to survive whatever system that they have entered. Even churches have cliques within the church, even though the church itself is a clique. When students start high school, the parents' only intention is for the child to have an education, but very quickly that child realizes that high school is a place of changes, forging an identity and finding a place in the social and economical view. In order to overcome the challenges, critique, and find justification for their actions, they form cliques, a place and system that brings individuals alike with a mission where concentrated power can be established so the clique can find their way in the social schema. The new student observer has no belonging unless it was previously forged during middle school, but many times there is no solid belonging established, given that elementary and middle school were mostly a play and figuring out the exit of the childhood. That's why when many middle school students transition into high school, the theme becomes my former best friend has changed so much. Ever since he or she started hanging out with those people, we became strangers who won't even look in the eye. It doesn't take long before a new student decides which clique seems more appealing and fitting the needs and reassurance of survival to this high school system. Those who do not manage it become loners who others may critique as weird or even incels. The stoners stick to their group of pot-smoking buddies with the strange rituals such as having the munchies, watching movies, and making strange jokes. Rituals that are part of their social construct. The preps divide into football buffs who love to show their musculature and douchebaggery, while their female counterparts, the mean girls, think that they are better than everyone and only reciprocate to the prep counterparts in exchange for entertainment and status. That's why many of them become the prom king and queen, which in their clique is a high status. We also have other cliques, such as the Mexican migrant students, who are newly migrated students in the bilingual programs. They have their own cliques as well. We have to follow those rules. Prison is no different. Usually the prisons are self-fulfilling prophecies of ethnic formed cliques. Those who play into it hope that their prison has a workforce program, which is a clique in itself, where the inmates join to labor to the government and corporations that offer work for pennies. Inmates mostly join it not to be bored, and because the greatest incentive is that they are usually segregated for inmates who are part of the gang jungle. The workforce clique has access to private showers and sometimes vending machines that the general population does not. People in this clique had to endure quite a bit. They don't fall into that category by default, nor are they placed in it upon incarceration. They usually have to have months of good conduct and be approved in the workforce program. That means that for months they had to go through the survival of the fittest without gang affiliation, which is hard in prison, or they had to abandon their gang status, which can get them hurt in the process. Even then, this clique is super privileged because any mistake that leads to losing their work can get them kicked out of the privileged prison wings, and that means back to general population. Everyone else has the choice to either join a clique based on their ethnic designation or attempt to survive on their own until they can join the workforce clique. The Mexicans can join the Border Brothers or either the Sureños or Norteños depending on the prison. The blacks join Bloods, Crips, or whatever's available. The whites join the Aryan gang that is available, and other ethnic groups join whatever is available there. There was a prison so big in Oregon that Mexicans from Southern California had their own clique apart from the Mexicans from Oregon. I hope you are seeing the big picture of why they join cliques. Even churches have their own survival structure called salvation. We mentioned that the second reason that people join cliques is due to the ability to amass concentrated power. This is where Maslow's pyramid covers belonging and esteem. This translates to status and opportunity. Very early on the beginning of human existence, humans realized that alone they can't get very far, but as a large group, they could defeat smaller or weaker groups and take their belongings and lands. Such process became the ability to impose their will. This is one definition of power, although such power has mostly become influential and then enforced through the courts and police and military force, but the concept of this type of power has changed very little apart from the ability to influence and convince through some story told by media outlets that became trusted. These groups, with their members, have the power to challenge rival groups in and outside of their categories. For example, gang members will likely only challenge and go against other gang members from a rival gang. But from time to time, they could engage in stands against skaters and even stoners because someone on one side or the other got out of line in the eyes of someone in one of these two groups. I don't think I have to explain how similar these dynamics play in prison. In church, it's the same thing. If a member of the church is caught with a wife of another member and then he tries to lie and say that they were doing push-ups, these two would be labeled as adulterers and liars, and they probably will not be welcome to the congregation alone. When divorce happens, members of the congregation will likely testify in favor of their divorcing husband. If they are in Texas, the cheating wife will lose. If they are in the West Coast, given that they have no clue what shame is, the wife will likely win and she will be compensated because they equate female empowerment to being an absolute thought. I hope that you can see the power of these groups. In gangs, criminal organizations, and prisons, failure to follow the rules of the group can mean the end of existence. These groups can have such a concentrated power that even the authorities sometimes step to the side so they don't get caught up in the middle of it. Now it's not as common. Back in the 90s, there were some gangs who had so much power that not even the police will dare step in their territory unless they absolutely had to. Some of the gang members had observed the behaviors and dynamics of police officers and considered them a gang as well. After listening to what I'm sharing with you, we can see that they were not far off. The officers have a sense of survival and the rules as well. The rules are to not get taken out on the streets, be loyal to their brothers in blue, protect themselves and each other, and to follow protocol as close as possible. The military has very similar rules as well, which in itself functions as a clique as well. This is why they have ritual slogans such as Marines claiming that once a Marine, the Marine is always a Marine. At the beginning of this class, I mentioned that one reason why people join clique is opportunity and also falls into the belonging and esteem structure of Maslow's pyramid. When members of the clique find out the ranking structure of the clique, the aspiration becomes to be the top dog, or in simple terms, the leader. In high school, the preps have the alpha, the stoners have the bro with all the plugs, to get all kinds of things to party. The skaters have the amazingly good skater who does more sophisticated stunts than anyone else, and the gangs have the guy who calls the shots. These leaders get respect, access to women, and access to control the hierarchy, which places a strong sense of esteem and influential power to further control the clique. In prison, they have the top G who, in the snap of his fingers, can do and undo whatever he desires. The guards have their captains and their sergeants. The military, they have their high-ranking officials with access to classified information and orders that no one can disobey. Churches have their pastors, and the Catholic Church has the archbishops and the Pope. Kingdoms have their kings and queens, and nations have their prime minister and presidents. Who would have thought that in a strange kind of way an entire country can be considered a clique, where patriotism, liberalism, and anarchism can be a sub-cliques to this cluster clique? I hope that you see value in what I'm sharing with you. The strange part is that I am not calling for any action against anyone. I'm not calling to any anti-government ideas. Oddly enough, I actually love government and have good friends in this clique who I actually appreciate. What I'm giving you, good or bad, great or ugly, is pure and unadulterated information. The only and best action to take is to build your success around all this information. Play by the rules and be rich. Even if you are starting as a tyrant, does not mean that you will seek to harm or do anything against anyone. Power is not good or evil. It just is. It will exist with or without you. You may find it odd that I actually stand to defend government. You don't have to be me. You can think whatever you want. You don't even have to play into the game and gain power. Everyone who understands the power structure will seek to benefit with or without you. This is not an insult, but rather the honest truth. The only reason no one tells you this is probably because you can handle it. Right now, you have an opportunity, just like everyone else, an opportunity to spend your time learning a skill or seek entertainment, an opportunity of being in a relationship with someone who respects you and can help you be a better you, an opportunity to learn about the tax code and play by it to pay less taxes, an opportunity to be a better parent if you have kids, or to give more importance to your work and projects, an opportunity to figure out how to get out of debt or to find out how to further ignore your problems, an opportunity to continue to believe what you are told or pick a book and decide for yourself. See, aside of our friends from Awaken ABA, the only other way you can gain further intelligence is by reading. You can be an amazing person or you can be a completely unlikable being, but either way, reading is available to you. Stop making excuses and read. Even if it is a newspaper, a dictionary, or a manga anime book. Be a better reader. Be better informed. This will be furthering of who you are. You have 24 hours just like everyone else, so the opportunity cost is in where and what you will spend your time. People don't understand tyranny. Very few people do. You think that those that we call our founding fathers did not have a level of tyranny? They owned slaves. So what does that tell you? Yet they formed the constitution that protects our rights. When a court somewhere truly wants you, they will find a way to you. The fact that the Innocence Project exists tells you how prevalent tyranny expands. Now for our final part. The reason that people join cliques is for dominion. I know this sounds crazy and too much to handle, but it is the truth. The high school preps look to get into football. The men are players and the women are cheerleaders. They hope to win enough games to get college scholarships, which are just excuses to continue playing and cheering. That's why many of them pick useless degrees that require minimum effort, because the big money is in the football games that hopefully one day will draft them into the NFL. Once in the NFL, they hope to win for their team and dominate the industry. Same applies to the wrestlers in high school transition into college, and some have already left their mark in entertainment wrestling and in the UFC. Gang members hope to become veteranos or OGs. Military personnel hope to become high-ranking officials. Officers hope to become leading detectives and even run entire units of officers. Corporate professionals hope to establish themselves as CEOs. That's why some start their own corporations to automatically become the CEO. I hope that you can see that the goal is dominion and it's nothing new. It is ancient as history itself. The Hebrews took land from others and then used the reasoning that God promised that land. Many will find my comment outrageous and even anti-Semitic. But given that I am a Hebrew myself and respectful of my own bloodline, I can tell you that whatever I believe or say does not change history and the truth behind it. My people, the Hebrews, went through the same thing, went through several exiles, the Babylonian and the Roman being two very prevalent ones that had major changes in history and how the Bible was viewed and treated. We have had 2 world wars and we are at the verge of a third one now. So nothing has changed. The ultimate aim of joining clique is dominion, which comes from Maslow's type of the hierarchy as self-actualization and transcendence. This translates to a realization of the members within the clique and the aim to make it to the top and transcend as the ultimate leaders of the clique. The status of power that comes from it is access to negotiation with other tyrants for the wider structural performance of the major lands. This is not a hateful judgment on how the world works, but rather a critique of it. So you open your eyes and start to think how you will better yourself so you don't end up living in poverty or continue living in it. So you don't make the most damaging mistakes and end up in horrendous debt over some substandard education. Reality does not care whether you believe in it or if you like or hate the truth. It will continue its operation with or without you. Conspiracy theorists make horrendous accusations and even damaging calls to action. We set ourselves apart. First, we want to entertain you. Then we want to get you to read, because this is how you will manage to form your own opinions rather than taking things at face value. Then we want you to make better choices to improve your economical and social status. We want you to do better in your home, in your community, and decide what systems to join and where to go for yourself and your families. If you're alone, we want you to overcome that sense of being alone. This is the true core of our purpose. If you were hoping to find a way to oppress others, then you are better off reading the autobiography of some evil tyrant. But we must warn you that it did not end well for most of them, so beware. Instead, you are better off reading books such as Looking Out for Number One, or Winning Through Intimidation by Robert Ringer, The Tree of Lies, or The Psychopath Bible by Christopher Hyatt, any book by Don Miguel Ruiz, Reality Transurfing by Vadim Zealand, The Gift of Fear by Gavin De Becker, and so on. Some may snap out because I brought up the Psychopath Bible, but don't judge. This book is one of the greatest intellectual realizations that the psychopath label is sometimes placed on individuals who think for themselves and are not willing to tolerate the abuse and manipulation that tyrants impose on humanity. Yes, this book is the solution against tyranny or its greatest tool. It all depends on which side you're on. Until next time.